and welcome, fellow human. My name is Zachary Stockill, and you are listening to Humans in Love, a podcast that looks at culture, relationships, and personal development from unconventional perspectives. Join me as I dig into the question of how people like you and I might get more out of life and love. Thanks for being here. How are you doing, friends? Hope you're doing well. And today I am bringing you a solo episode of Humans in Love. And I want to talk a little bit about love and loss. But, if you find that topic or that phrasing frightening, I don't think this is depressing. I don't think this will be a depressing podcast, rather. But, things like loss, things like grief, whether it's the death of a loved one or a breakup or whatever, these happen to all of us at one point or another, and I find that not enough people are willing to speak honestly about their experiences of those things. Particularly grief, I would say. I mean, you might have a different perspective, but in my view, there's very little just discussion about grief in our society, which is odd because it's, as close to a universal experience as anything else in life. At some point, we will lose the things that we hold most dear to us, and how the hell are we going to deal with that, basically? So I've dealt with a pretty high amount of loss in the past couple of years. I won't go into all of the details, but suffice it to say, the death of several loved ones in the past couple of years, and a couple of pretty challenging breakups. Losing some pretty remarkable women in my life, and it's made me think a lot about love. Perhaps that's not surprising given the name of this podcast and the nature of my interests more generally, but it's made me reconsider a lot of the ways that I think about love, the ways that I conceptualize it. And one of the ways I've been thinking about love recently is summed up really well by Leonard Cohen. If you don't know, Leonard Cohen is, I believe, Canada's greatest poet/songwriter, or he was anyway. He passed away a few years ago. Absolutely remarkable human being, songwriter, poet, artist. And he has a song called Ain't No Cure for Love. And the song, it's you could look at it and think that it's just a breakup song. Most of the lyrics involve him talking about how, this woman, someone important to him left him, and how he's trying to deal with that. And the chorus is, there ain't no cure for love. You do what you can, try everything you can, but you can't escape that feeling of really, loving and wanting this person in your life. But the line that really got me, and when you have that experience where there's a song that and you've maybe heard it 5,000 times before, but you never really get it until there's a certain moment or a certain experience in your life where maybe the lyrics or the performance really come into focus and they really resonate with you on a level that perhaps they hadn't done before. And that happened to me not so long ago with this song, Ain't No Cure for Love, because there's a line in the song where he talks about, it sounds like he's at his bottom. He wanders into this empty church because he says he had nowhere else to go, when the sweetest voice he'd ever heard whispered to his soul. And the line is, I don't need to be forgiven for loving you so much. And that was the line that slayed me. He nails it. I mean, he puts it so succinctly, and there's so much packed into that one phrase. I don't need to be forgiven for loving you so much. And hopefully I'll try to explain what I take from that line. When we love someone, let's say we're going through a breakup. Say in the immediate aftermath of a breakup, when we're not feeling very good and we're thinking of our beloved all the time, and we're really lamenting the fact that this person isn't in our life anymore. I think in many cases there's kind of two things going on, two experiences. And these experiences can be related, can be closely related, can be linked, but they don't have to be. So on the one hand, there's the actual love for this person. Maybe you've built something together. Maybe you've built a life together. Maybe you have children together. Maybe you shared incredible experiences, and maybe you just deeply, deeply, deeply have a feeling of true and deep and rich love for this person. And then at the same time, there's the experience of missing that person and desperately wanting that person to be in your life again. Missing their smile or the way they speak or the way they touch you or just their company. So there's the love and there's the missing. Or there's, shall we say, there's the love and there's the desire for that person. Now, the love doesn't have to. I think some people look at this and they say that they try to ignore their love for this person, or they try to drown it, or they try to distract themselves with alcohol or with other women or other men or drugs or just mindless distractions, whether it's through work or through whatever. But Alan Watts has this great line about love, that when you try to deny or suppress your love, that energy has to go somewhere, and it will manifest itself in all kinds of different ways that you probably never saw coming. So basically, it's up to us. We have to do something with that love. And at the same time as we're experiencing that, there's this intense desire, this clinging, this suffering, really, that we just really miss this person. We want them in our life. And so to deal with the second element, the desire, the clinging, the attachment, the craving for this person, we try to deny the love. But you don't have to do that. And I think that's what Leonard's getting at with that line in that song. We can love the person who's out of our life just as much, even though maybe they're not in our lives anymore. Maybe we don't see them anymore. Maybe we're not talking to them. Maybe we don't have day-to-day contact with them. Maybe they're our ex-wife or ex-girlfriend or ex-husband or ex-boyfriend, whatever. Maybe they've done horrible things to us, whatever. But, that love, we can still love them, even if we aren't with them anymore. And there's nothing wrong with that. And there's actually something really beautiful about that kind of love that is just completely with zero expectations, I love this person so much, even though they screwed me over, or even though they're not in my life anymore, or even though I made all these mistakes with them that I regret, or, go down the line. That love is still there, and that's okay. We don't need to be forgiven for loving someone that much, even if that person isn't in our life anymore. And for me, I find it a really refreshing way to look at this whole experience, because I think when you go into that place of not the desire, not the clinging, and not the fragile ego bit of missing someone, when you just devote more time and attention to the experience of just truly loving that person, for me, the overwhelming thing that comes up is gratitude. Focusing on what we had rather than what we lost. So I'll give you an example. And this is still difficult for me to talk about, but so my mother died a couple of years ago. For some time after that, I was really angry. And even as I'm sitting here talking to you today, I'm still angry. That anger still comes up in some ways. There's this anger at God or whoever. How dare you take this incredible woman away from me? And relatively young. I was 29 when she passed away. And I would have all kinds of, this is not pleasant to admit, but I would have all kinds of thoughts. I remember being on an airplane and seeing other women around my mom's age and thinking, well, why not them? Why would you take my mother? And there's a real kind of victim mentality there, and a real woe is me, and a real just anger and rage inside of me. But I think what really helped me get through that experience, through focusing on just the love that my mother gave me, the overwhelming thing that started to override and overtake the anger that I felt was just the gratitude, because I had an absolutely incredible mother for 29 years. And how many people in the world are not that lucky? How many people are orphans, or how many people have toxic or abusive parents? Or, how many people in the world, unfortunately, have never experienced that kind of love? And wow, I got to experience that for 29 years. That's pretty remarkable. That makes me a really lucky guy. And, as I say that, I am certainly not successful in thinking that way all of the time. In fact, I have frequent moments still where the grief comes to the forefront, and I'm tempted to get angry and all the rest. But what helps me more than anything else with the grief and with the pain, with the loss of my mother or anyone who I've lost in recent years, it's the feeling of gratitude. Like, wow, I'm a lucky man. Look at these incredible people, these incredible women who've come into my life. Like, look at the love that I experienced. Wow. And that's way more powerful And it's way healthier, I think, to focus on rather than the missing of those people, rather than focusing on the fact that those connections ended or I lost this person, focusing on the fact that I'm so glad that I had them. I don't need to be forgiven for loving anyone that much. So that's my little spiel on love and loss and Leonard Cohen. And thank you for listening to this. It's it's a new format for me. I'm not entirely used to doing these podcasts this way, but if there's more interest, I'll keep doing them. So thanks as always for listening, and I'll talk to you again very soon. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Humans in Love. If you'd like to learn more about my guests, my work, or you'd like to listen to back episodes of the podcast, please visit humansinlove.com. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to Humans in Love using your podcast app of choice. If you're a fan of Humans in Love, and you'd like to help keep the show going and help me spread the word, please take 30 seconds out of your day to leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or your podcast app of choice. Before I let you go, remember that life is short, so let's make it count. And thank you, as always, for your listenership and support. I'll talk to you again very soon.